Hey folks, MasakoX here. Now, an important lesson was given to us very early on in Dragon Ball. Goku was learning how to become a martial artist, and in his battle with Chun, he was meant to discover that not every single battle would be easy, and that sometimes there would be a stronger fighter than you taking part. Because of this, you should never rest easy, and always be prepared for something coming along with the potential to take you down if you're not careful. In the original, Goku took heed of this and got the job done. But in this timeline though, he didn't. He won against Chun anyway, with quite underhanded tactics mind you, and still won. Without that essential life lesson in his early days, Goku became an absolute jerk, and that ultimately led to him being ostracized from the group and having to get into bed with other Saiyans to get by. Now back on Earth, could he perhaps get a second chance at things and perhaps redeem himself in the eyes of his former friends? Well... In the last part, Vegeta had been carted back to Capsule Corp to deal with his long list of ailments. Trust me, we'll get to the aftermath of that very shortly. And the team were now having to figure out what to do with 17 and 18. Goku decided to make their minds up for them and got into a little deal with Imperfect Cell to offer his android hunting services to find them. With Goku's help, Cell had indeed found one of the androids and promptly drank them in front of Piccolo. Goku wasn't sure this was the right idea anymore, and after Cell lazily spilled the beans about his origins, he basically found out Goku that he had been played. Again, Cell, lapping this up, let Goku feel that sheepish and painful sensation some more, and promptly left him to find 18, leaving the Saiyan feeling completely stupid. Good! But what was worse was that Cell had his DNA inside of him, and he knew how tenacious this Bugman would be because of it. He was basically now fighting his own worst enemy. In that moment, for the first time, this Goku didn't blame Tenshinhan for something! I know, right? What a climb down! But let's take our minds to Capsule Corp for a moment and find out the aftermath of Vegeta's little case of the explosions. The light was piercing. He had very little recollection as to what had happened in the last couple of hours. Vegeta could last recall railing against that Trunks boy who thought that he couldn't fight anymore because he was missing appendages, but that really didn't register with Vegeta at the time. Then the next thing, he collapsed. Had he been felled in battle again? In any case, he was slowly regaining consciousness. He started to wake up, realizing to himself that he was in a laboratory. Then, other sensations started to cascade over him, and those weren't good feelings. To say that the prince was in pain, that would be the understatement of the century. He could tell that his body was not meant to feel this way. It was a miracle that he wasn't writhing in agony right now. The only thing that held that back was medical intervention. The pain had been numbed somewhat by the welcome relief of human painkillers. That Bulma and her foolish father obviously no doubt given him, without his consent. Vegeta tried to raise his head to look around the room, but he couldn't. His head had been tethered down. Why? Didn't they trust him? What kind of threat could he pose now? Hadn't he done enough to prove that he wasn't about to blow their planet up? Stupid humans. They simply didn't understand that a true Saiyan warrior can relish under extreme pain. He tried to shake his fist, trying to vent some of his internal frustration, but something was off. His arm was hurting, but it wasn't your usual impression of pain in the arm. He rotated his head as best he could to get a look at the source of the pain, but there was nothing. Despite him feeling the pain, there was nothing. His arm, his leg, they were gone. Now it had become clear why he had been strapped down on the bed. He wanted to yell out in horror, but the medicine had affected him so much that what should have been a holler of abject torment merely came out as a barely audible groan. Bulma could see this and hear Vegeta's plight, coming to his side, holding his other hand to comfort him. Hey, don't stretch yourself out. Everything's gonna be alright. I've got you. Bulma approached him, trying to calm him down. In that moment, Bulma wished that they had some senso beans to hand. The only ones that they had right now were on the battlefield, and there were no more imminently being grown. And as a result of this, Vegeta's limbs couldn't be grown back by them. Since the wounds had already started to heal over, something that beans cannot fix, healed over stumps.
That lowlife took my arm and leg.
Finally breaking down and allowing himself a moment of vulnerability. He knew that Bulma wouldn't tell anyone this. For a Saiyan warrior, injury on this scale felt like it was over for him on the battlefield. Like he was as good as dead. What good of a Saiyan warrior could he be without limbs? His face had nasty scars now too, but that wasn't the biggest issue. He could live with that. That was a proper badge of honor, but losing the ability to fight or even stand without the use of ki was... Don't worry, we'll help you. Everything's gonna be fine. I promise. She touched Vegeta's face. He looked at her, ashamed by his own display of weakness, trying to avert his gaze, just in time to see a new mechanical arm being molded for him. Vegeta's frantic eyes softened slightly. That will do. At least Bulma had a plan and the means to give him back some level of autonomy. He calmed down, but one thing was for sure though. If any of those androids dared to approach him, they would not have a good day once he was back in the game. Meanwhile, Goku wasn't really having much of a good time either. Cell had put him down, quite effortlessly too, and left him there, prompting him to get stronger.
Oh, just you wait. I'll become stronger than you,
he thought to himself. Luckily for him though, help was on the way in the form of Piccolo and Trunks, who had found him in little time.
This doesn't look good.
Trunks shook his head. Goku didn't want their pity. He tried to stand up, but it was hard.
Shut up and help me up.
What happened?
Piccolo raising his eyebrows, but he already knew the answer. He just wanted to hear it straight from the monkey's mouth.
That Cell is also one of Jiro's creations. He tried to absorb the other android to become stronger.
Trunks was shocked. Goku slammed the ground in anger.
He cheated! If he had just given me a fair duel, I would have simply...
Goku's words were interrupted by a loud smack across the face, coming from Piccolo.
Damn it, Goku! Can you forget for one moment about your own wounded pride and look at the facts? We have someone very dangerous on the run, who can at any second turn the planet to ash. We need you to focus on that, not your petty feud with Tenshinhan. Vegeta is wounded, Raditz and Nappa are out of commission, and we're all in disarray. Can you please focus on the situation at hand, and not the fact that you have been tricked by that bugman? That's not a priority. The priority is to put that thing down.
Goku was absolutely stunned. At first, a wave of anger had risen up inside of him. He wanted to slam Piccolo into the ground for even daring to speak to him like that. But after a few seconds, the anger internalized, and he realized that the big green one was speaking the truth. He had been tricked. He had let that beast loose, and he had to fix it.
You're right. I'm sorry.
We're gonna need the Room of Spirit in time. I'll let Tenshinhan and the others know about the situation.
As much as Goku hated the mention of that name, Piccolo was right. They were in this together, and the least that cheating scoundrel could do was to keep the beast occupied. And surely, after learning about the situation, that two things would need to be done. They would have to find and convince 18 to work with them and protect them long enough against Cell for the Saiyans and or Piccolo to get stronger. Tenshinhan and Krillin decided to take on the first task for them. Sure enough, they were able to locate 18, largely thanks to the wake of destruction she had left in panic, trying to get away from the insect.
Don't get any closer, or I'll blast both of you away! I can do that!
Krillin raised his hands, showing that he had no ill will toward her. Don't worry, we won't hurt you. I'm pretty sure that we couldn't even if we wanted to anyway. We've got bigger problems right now, 18. That Bugman is looking for you.
I'm well aware of that, and that Goku led him to my brother. Give me one good reason not to kill you two right now for being his lackeys.
As if we'd ever listened to Goku after that stunt he pulled. You can't run forever. And we're not very happy about Goku's decision either. Let us help you. We'll keep him occupied for you and you can find a hiding place. You don't need to run alone like a scared animal. She looked at them, still not lowering her gaze. She wanted to believe these two, that she had allies in this sorry situation, but was hard to believe them. But did she really have a choice? That monstrosity had gobbled up her brother without much effort, and now it was apparently even stronger because of it. 18 relented and walked over to Krillin. Okay, what's your plan? She said, not lowering her guard despite approaching them. We got various places where we can hide ya. Our allies are trying to... Krillin started, but Tenshinhan stopped him with a gaze. They didn't want to show all their cards just yet. Krillin looked resolute though. We need to tell her. We need her to trust us. All right, fine. But promise you won't hurt anyone. 18 looked around. To be honest, I'm having second thoughts on the whole ordeal. Unfortunately, even though Krillin and Tenshinhan had both suppressed their energy, Cell was still able to track them anyway. Before any of them could disperse, Cell was on top of them.
Well, well, well. Thank you, boys. You made this so much easier for me.
18 regained a footing. You idiots brought him here! I knew it! 18 shouted and attempted to escape, but Cell blocked her path.
Please, do not resist. It would be most unwise. You won't feel a thing. All I need to do is just... Shin Kiko!
A blast caused Cell to be swallowed up by the ground.
Krillin! Take her to Bulma! She'll know what to do!
Look, we don't have much time, 18. Let's go! And as such, Krillin and 18 ran away when an awesome barrage of Neo Tri-Beams started barraging Cell. Unlike the original, these even did some damage against the Bugman, as Tenshinhan was a fair bit stronger than in the original, and he was giving his all to boot. After a long, exhausting period of shooting Shinki Kohos at Cell, Tenshinhan had to take a break. He lamented that he had no sensu beans on him right now. You and Bulma, right? He then heard a voice from the hole in the ground.
You know, I'm beginning to understand why Goku hates you so much.
Tenshinhan had to take a breath, and in that short moment, Cell was on him.
And unfortunately for you, I'm part Goku.
And although Tenshinhan was giving his all, Cell grabbed him with his tail by the neck.
You know, that was a really cheap trick,
he said. Then a cracking sound broke the silence and echoed throughout the area. Then something heavy dropped on the ground, and Cell kicked it away as if it were nothing. He was furious. Tenshinhan was easier to track than his siblings. Now he would have to focus, or hope for an opportunity to arise. On the way to Capsule Corp, 18 was thinking about resorting to exploding a bomb, and started to suggest this to Krillin, but he shook his head. No, that's not how we roll, princess! He suddenly stopped for a moment. What? What happened? Said 18 with slight panic. I can't feel Tenshinhan anymore. We have to hurry! 18 was shocked. The other bald one really did want to help them. When they got to Capsule Corp, they had to meet up with a really shocked Dr. Briefs.
I don't think it's a good idea bringing her here.
Krillin looked around.
Where is everyone? Trunks and Goku are apparently training. Piccolo is preparing Raditz and Nappa, and Vegeta.
Before he could finish that sentence, Bulma was walking out with the prince, who looked miserable. Although he had new cybernetic parts, being Vegetron, his Saiyan pride was seriously wounded. But that was about to change. It was quickly restored, that pride, when his eyes met with 18's. Krillin blinked.
Oh no.
Vegeta? Oh wait! There was a spark in Vegeta's eyes, and 18 was positively terrified.
Your kind did this to me!
As he charged forward, almost tripping Bulma up, he went straight for 18. Krillin tried to cover her, but the prince didn't care, throwing him to the side. He broke through the wall, with 18, who tried to defend herself as best she could. But the Saiyan power activation going on right now, as well as his new limbs, increased his power to the point that he actually might be evenly matched with 18. Or maybe slightly stronger. Krillin helped Bulma up, but she was screaming at him. Why did you bring her here?
I didn't know Vegeta become Vegetron! We need to protect her anyway! If Cell consumes her...
Bulma then yelled loudly, Vegeta, calm down! This one isn't your enemy! But Vegeta wasn't listening. All he could hear right now was 19 exploding, tasting blood on his mouth. He was in a different state of mind, and 18 was fighting for her life. But sadly, what Vegeta didn't realize was that his power was just like a beacon for the Bugman. Cell found them and shook his head.
Oh, thank you, Prince. I knew I could count on you.
And as he pushed Vegeta away, despite Krillin's brave efforts, he absorbed 18, transforming into his perfect form. Vegeta was wailing on him, punching and punching and punching, but to no avail.
You know, I like the chrome on you, Vegeta. It suits you. In any case, I feel that I'm not going to get much further than this. That my time would have been wasted. I want some more fun. I'd really love to check out if you guys have gotten stronger or could get stronger. So I'll be generous. 5 days? Then we shall try ourselves out a little more. I'm pretty sure you guys will figure something out. Bye.
When Vegeta calmed down and Cell was gone, he realized what he had done and collapsed. All hope laid on the Room of Spirit and Time, that it could give everyone enough of a power boost to deal with the threat. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. If you'd like to see a timeline where Cell is a little more benevolent, check out this timeline here, where he becomes good and has a family. I think it's quite wholesome. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!